Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the very first Padlet Blitz session for the entire month of August. And our session is on Padlet. So if you haven't already signed in, I believe let me get that in the right chat here for you. And you'll be able to go ahead and sign in if you haven't already done so. We have a lot to show you today, so we're going to keep this moving in our brief hour together. I am Laura Gabrion. I am a literacy consultant at Wayne Risa. I'm going to pass it over to my friend.
And good Friday afternoon. I am Judy Bowling, and I am currently serving as the instructional tech and library consultant here at Wayne Risa.
We have, oh, you need permissions changed to sign in. Give me 1 second on that. Okay. Thanks for letting me know.
Laura, I can take care of that.
Okay. I don't see it in the new, I don't see that it's toggled on for Wayne Risa only, but maybe you can find it. All right, well, we're going to keep going. We have again, a short hour with you. We will go through how to get started with Padlet if you've never used it before, or just refresh your memory if you've used it, but it's been a while. We've got a whole bunch of new features that we want to show you, and we're going to leave you with some resources via our Padlet and this slide deck. And we just want to remind you that this session is being recorded. You as a registered participant and anyone else who registered for this session will receive the links to the recording and any supplemental materials that we have provided you. It usually takes them a couple of days, so you should get that in your inbox. And we just want to remind you, because we are the very first session of the Summer Learning Blitz, that there's a month of learning opportunities. Each of them are about an hour long. And so you have access. Let me get that link to you. You'll be able to sign up for any of these. And if something is, interesting to you, but you don't think you can make the session, just remember that if you are registered for it, you'll receive the recording and any supplemental information. And hopefully we've addressed the sign in, and you're all able to sign in now that the permissions have been changed for you. Okay, so I think we all value collaboration. We know how important it is in our classrooms, but really what we're hoping that you see is that it goes beyond the classroom. This quote, "Creating a better world requires teamwork, partnerships, and collaboration," because we really think it's a life skill that our kids need, like I said, not only while they're with us, but much further beyond into their career paths and their educational paths. And so what is Padlet? Again, if you haven't used it before, it gives us the ability to make beautiful boards. We can collect, organize, and present anything. It gives us tools for creativity. It allows us to engage our students in choice and collaboration, and it improves our efficiency.
Okay, so we are going to just jump into Padlet for a quick little connector, and then we'll backpedal and go a little deeper into it, and then follow up with some ways that you might use it in your classroom. So Laura's going to put a link in the chat for our Padlet, and I'm going to jump out of here. Okay, so we're going to come back to this because this Padlet is filled with a lot of resources, but the one that we're going to take a look at right away here is this poll. And everything that we're doing today is going to be residing on this Padlet. And one of the things that we thought we would demo right out of the gate is that when you have a Padlet, over on the right here is an arrow that it can instantly take you into a slideshow. and I can click on the arrows at the bottom, or I can use the arrow keys, and I'm going to click through until we get to that poll. And on yours, you'll see it in the left column. So we would invite you to participate in this poll and let us know how long you've been using Padlet. If you've never used it before or just dabbled a little bit, maybe 0 to 1 year, 2 to 9 years, over 10 years, or are you a veteran like myself and you've been using it since um, it was Wall Wisher. So that's the one that I'm going to vote on. And once I vote, I can see in real time where everybody's at. And I am super excited to know that I'm not the only person that has known Padlet since it was Wall Wisher. And for those of you who don't know what Wall Wisher is, that's when it was simply digital post-it notes, which was pretty revolutionary at the time. So it looks like we've got some that are brand new to Padlet, so welcome, welcome, and some that have some experience. So we hope that whether you're brand new, you're a veteran, or somewhere in between, that everybody walks away with at least one new idea that you did not come here today with. And so with that, we're going to jump back over here to what does it look like in the beginning? So there's a lot to Padlet. We're going to just demo a few things right now. And then throughout the rest of this session, we're going to be demoing some different Padlets. We've got a number of opportunities for you to engage in different Padlets to try to sample some of the different features of them. So we're going to give a brief little overview right now, but then again, you'll get into some of the other features as we progress through this evening. So um, I should also mention to you, you'll see a lot of Padlets on mine. With Padlet, the free version of Padlet gives you full functionality to every single feature. The only limitation is that you are limited to 3 Padlets. So if you're using the free version, you can always recirculate them, archive one, that opens up another one. I'm using the paid version of it, which is why you see so many. But to get started, I can either click here and say make a Padlet, or up here at the very top, it says make. So it doesn't matter, they'll take you to the same place. And we're going to start out with just a blank board. And it will start out with a random background. And we're going to ignore some of these things right now and just jump right in. So by default, it starts out with the most popular format, which is a wall. And I'm going to say done. And we're going to just make a quick photo album. And so there are many ways that you can do this, but one way, a quick way, is to simply drag an image onto the canvas, and it'll take a moment to upload. I can add a subject, and I could add additional text at the bottom, but I'm going to say publish. And so just that quick, I've got a post now on this Padlet. I can add multiple images all at the same time by simply dragging them on. And you see at the bottom that they're all thinking, and in a moment they will all be on the Padlet. So again, I can drag and drop them. And another thing that I could do too is I could share a link with others, so that, being that one of the features that is so enticing about Padlet is that it is collaborative. And so as I come into these now that looks like they've all entered, I'm going to skip, for the sake of time, writing a subject on each one of them, but I'm just going to publish each one to the site so that I've got many posts. And so you can see that they're just being added to the wall kind of randomly. There's not really a lot of structure or organization here, but we're going to work on that in a moment. And so what I want to do now is I'm going to actually, if you notice at the top, it's just sort of a default. It always gives you something. It's very affirming. It's my exquisite Padlet, but that doesn't really fit with what the topic of this photo album is going to be. So I'm going to come over here to the cog, which is my setting, and I'm going to give it a title, and I'll just say cute animals, and I'll give some description, and this might be directions. And you can write whatever. And then once we do that, you'll notice that it even though I haven't clicked save yet, over here on the left, it did automatically update the title, it updated the description, and it will also in the tab at the top of your browser will identify it that way as well. As far as the wallpaper goes, you can get creative. They've got a lot of built-in wallpapers that you can use. They've got some different designs. And then at the very bottom, you can upload your own. You could draw one if you'd like. You could take a photo. You can use a variety of different methods to get one in there. So I will just choose a random one. We'll make some grass in the background and I'll say save. And then I can make the color scheme dark. I can make it light. I can increase or decrease the font size and the post size. And I'm going to come back to the format in a moment, but I'm going to go ahead and close out of there. And then if I wanted to share this with other people so that others could either just learn from it or collaborate with it, in this little curved arrow at the very top, I click on there. By default, if I were to share my link, which is down midway here, where it says copy link to the board, if I were to share that right now, by default, anybody who would receive that link would be able to write to this Padlet because the visitor permission says everybody could write to it. I could change that and say I don't want people to have any access to alter it. I only want them to view it. I want them to be a reader. Maybe I only want them to be a commenter. If you choose to moderate posts that are being put onto your canvas, you can also have them be a moderator, but I'll leave it on just as a writer. And then when you share your link, you've got some options for how you share your link. So you could make it password protected. I tend to not do that. I tend to keep it on secret if I just want it to be for a set audience like yourselves tonight. If we made it public, it would be available to everyone and anyone. And so, yeah, I'll just make mine public right now. I can add collaborators to this. So if I add Laura here as a collaborator, it works similar to Google. She is now right now just a writer, which is no different than anybody else who would receive the link. But if I want her to be a moderator with me or give her admin permissions, she'll get an email that she can accept, and then we together can collaborate as admins to this Padlet and then invite all of you to be a part of that. I'm going to close out of that. Down here in the lower right is the post. There's a lot of things that you can do to add to your Padlet. Right now I've only got images, but I could add a YouTube video and pay attention to this plus 13 here. That number grows. It used to be plus 10, plus 11, but they're constantly adding things to it. And so I could add it as a link or I could add it as a YouTube video. I could search or I can just click the link like I am there. You've got to give it a second to populate. I can also upload things. So if I go back here, I could, just like my image, drag this PDF onto the canvas or come over here to the plus symbol again and click on this upload file, navigate to it. And again, you're going to start to see the pattern of how things are added. I can always add a subject. I can add some additional information. So I've got a lot of stuff going on here. And the last one here is I'm going to add a link. Just copy this link here and go back to my post and click on the link. And again, you start to see the pattern here. So I've got a lot of things on here, lots of images. I've got a video, I've got a PDF, I've got a link to a website. And we're going to show later how you can limit some of those choices if that's too many choices for your students. We could like things, so I can add hearts to these. Right now I've got comments turned on so people can add comments so you can engage in a little bit of a discussion thread. Back here on your settings is where you can control that. If you want your comments on, if you want it off, if you want your reactions to be more of like a vote so people can upvote ideas, give it a score, like it. I'll leave it as the like right now. But again, this is not organized in any way. And so we can add some organization to that by grouping them by section. And so I'm going to come over here and come back here to the format. So by default, it was a wall. If I choose columns here, it instantly gives me the choice for some sections. And so I'm going to just name these now by the animal. And I'll just name this resources. So one thing I can do here is I can just drag and drop them. And you notice as I drag and drop them, they are, you can see the little line underneath it. So I can, I can rearrange them. So this is a manual process. There are other ways to do that as well. I think that's the last cat. We've got the birds. We'll put our resources over here. So now it's a little bit more organized, which can be helpful for you for that. You can sort them. Come back here to you're starting to see a pattern too of going back to the settings. But if you look here in the middle, it says sort by default, it's drag and drop. You can sort it by likes or upvotes, by the date published. So you've got some autonomy and some flexibility here, which is really nice. If I come back here to the format, we've now looked at the wall, the column. If I choose grid, it changes it to more of a grid. And you see where my section headings were now, it's almost like it's categorized into rows. I can choose a table. Table is a new feature. And so I didn't design this to be table, so this might not make sense, but this is a newer feature where you can create tables within Padlet and then you can export it as a CSV or an Excel file. And I can also choose freeform if you just want people to be able to drag and drop them wherever. I tend to not use this one because as you can see, it gets a little messy. And we can do rows, which looks similar to when we had it set up as a grid, but again, this is a nice way. This was one of their like timeline features there for a while, but they just brought back the actual timeline, which gives you the horizontal line and the connector. And the stream is almost like a blog. The last post you post goes to the top, everything else gets pushed down. And the last one is a map, which Laura's going to show you in a moment. And so the other thing that I'm going to share real quick, I know we're going really fast, but we have lots to share with you. The other thing is I'm going to go back to our original, let's go back to our columns. Okay, so with any one of these two, if I were to click on any one of them by simply clicking on it, it will open it up and expand it. And again, you can add your comments here if you're going to be doing some type of a discussion. But then again, like earlier, if I use my arrow keys, it instantly puts it into a slideshow, which is really nice and convenient. The other thing too is if I come back up to the upper right-hand corner for sharing, we showed where we can get the link to the board, but I also can get a QR code. We can click on the embed and you can copy that embed code. You can paste those directly into a Google site, which is really nice. So you can start to do a little bit of app smashing for that as well. And then down here at the bottom, depending on what it is, might determine like which choice makes the most sense, but you've got some different export options. Going back to the post here, when you click on that plus 13, so they by default show you the 4 most popular ones where you can upload a file, you can share a link, you can use the built-in camera, which is like your webcam or your image. But there are a lot of other options, and I would encourage you, if you haven't looked here for a while, to keep looking back because they keep adding new things. And so just a couple I want to point out real quick is, again, the camera, which is just like a webcam. So that is nice to have that built right in. And then you've got your video recorder. And if you think about the former Flipgrid, think of this as sort of an alternative. And so it does have some filters on there that are reminiscent of Flipgrid. And so you can have some fun with that. And so you can record. I'm not recording right now, but if I were to be recording, as soon as I was done, it would put it right onto, I should probably take off the smiling cat. But then down here in the lower right, you see where it says 15 minutes. You can control how long you want your students to post a video. And so, and you can turn off the filters too. So if you don't want them to have the filters and go back, you can do that as well. The other nice thing on here, this is a newer feature too, is the screen recorder. So you can actually do some screencasting outside of Padlet as well. And again, you've got the option to, I would, if I was doing a screencast, I would just leave it on 15 minutes, even though I might only be talking for 30 seconds, because then I won't be cut off. So that's a nice feature as well. So there's a lot of choices here that you can limit. You've got the voice recorder as well if you want to have kids just do some audio reflections and gifts and some other things too. But like I said, they keep adding and modifying to this. And so I would encourage you to look back frequently for that. The other thing on here as well, going back to the right-hand panel here, you see a icon that says like remake this Padlet. So if you were sharing this, depending on how you set your settings, people can make copies of, or you can make copies of your own rather, Padlets, which can be really nice. So if you're making things for multiple classes and you want to tweak them just a little bit, but you don't want to start from scratch, you can remake it and just rename it. So again, it works a lot like make a copy in Google. And then you can decide, do you want, so like for example, if I wanted to duplicate and remake this cute animals Padlet, maybe I want to copy everything, but I don't want all these images on there. I want to start with a blank page. So I'm going to say that I don't want any of the posts to be copied, but I do want the wallpaper. Probably don't want the comments coming. I probably don't want the likes. I just want the wallpaper. I want the structure. I want the names of that. So I can do that as well. And then if I remake it, it'll simply remake it, like I said, like make a copy. So that is a very quick overview of some of the features of Padlet. And I'm going to pass it now to Laura to share her screen. And then we're going to start jumping into some different ideas. Oh, I guess this is still me. And so in addition to those features, like now we're starting to look at like, what can we do with that? So those are sort of the how-to, but how does this benefit our kids? And so one of the primary things is that it just helps increase motivation engagement for your kids because there's so much voice and choice built into this. So whether you're using it for brainstorming, idea collections, iterations, you saw that there's a lot of ways that you can add a lot of different multimedia. You can embed a lot of different things. There's a lot of customization that you can do to it. And we haven't addressed it yet. Laura's going to do an activity with you in a moment, but there's AI built into this as well. So there's just so many ways for you as the designer to be creative, and there's a lot of ways for your students to be creative in the sharing of their ideas and information. And in all of these slides that we'll be leaving you with, there are links to examples of what that looks like with other people and or with students. And then we alluded to collaboration a little bit. And again, we're going to give you some opportunities to collaborate with us. And there's some links on the slide there that will give you some examples. But again, it's real-time collaboration. And so it's a way to put some guardrails on there for your students and giving them exactly what they need to structure it and the information that you're trying to glean from them. And again, with the click of a button, you can share links. You can share those links into your LMS, whatever it is that you're using. It's a nice way to get feedback, whether it be through some of those likes or the actual discussions and comments. As a teacher, you can moderate those. You can choose to have it just be open. If you're scaffolding for kids, you might want to put some guardrails on first. But it's very open-ended, which just, again, leads to some really high-quality collaboration. You can also have people post anonymously if you want. It's just all a matter of how you set it up in your settings. And then lastly is the visual presentations. And so it is a place for some great brainstorming and ideation, like we mentioned, and collaborating, but it could also be a tool of choice for students to share their learning and to create some various presentations because there is a lot of autonomy in that. And again, because you can incorporate so much multimedia, it's another tool to put into their toolbox of how they might be able to share what it is that they've learned and want to present. You can also, I didn't demo this, but there is a way too that you can connect ideas. So there's an option to do that too. So you can do some mind mapping that's in there, some visual storytelling and showcasing. So again, lots of options, lots of customization, lots of flexibility, easy to use. And there are some links on the slide deck there for you to see some examples.
Okay, and I got a little overzealous. I got excited about the new features, so I advanced a little too quickly on that. There are quite a few new features in just, some of the resources that we've left for you. Padlet is adding all the time, like Judy said. If you're looking at the ways that kids can respond, that number keeps going up. And then it is a wonderful, part of them educating users about Padlet. They have regular monthly, 1 hour webinars that you can always log into. You can always learn about the new feature of that particular month, try it out. So that's just a really great piece of using Padlet. So one of the newer features is the AI image. There was a similar type of response tool. It was called I Can't Draw, but you can see, just as Judy said, on the slides that we've made available to you in that original Padlet, that there are examples of how to use that AI drawing tool, AI image, in a variety of different ways, whether it's with writing prompts or grammar practice. But instead of talking about those examples, we're going to try it out. So we're going to have you jump over to a Padlet here. Judy's going to share the link to that in the chat. And you're going to take an opportunity to use AI image to create a crossbred animal of some kind. But remember, just like anything else you would do to generate an image, you're going to need to give the prompt, directions, or you're going to have to create a prompt that gives AI image directions. So once you click on that plus sign at the bottom, you'll click on AI image and say, for example, that you want to combine a toad with a sloth and place it in a house. You want to kind of think through not only what the animal is going to be, but where you might want to see it. As you can see from the examples, this is a frog bunny in a rainforest, or a polar bear on a tundra, or a polar bear zebra, sorry. So what we would like you to do, now that you've got access to that link, is go ahead and get into that Padlet, press the plus sign, and try this out. Is anyone having any trouble with? No. Okay, we'll just give this another minute or so to see your amazing animal creations. Okay, we can come back to this one in a few minutes to see if anybody has added their crossbred animal. And instead of going to the slide deck, we're going to just move on to the next Padlet. Judy's going to put
Laura, if you refresh that screen, it'll show some of their animals that are on there.
oh my goodness. I apologize. I didn't even think of doing that. Look at this, is amazing. So we have a shark bear in a colorful forest. We have a rooster, a rainbow rooster, not that's surfing. We have an elephant tiger, a cat bunny in a box. Uh, well, let's see, a giraffe turtle, a frog bunny that's hopping. We've got a panda flamingo, a tiger bunny, a jaguar chameleon, and a beautiful lily pad. Oh my goodness, these are amazing. Oh gosh, thank you, Judy. I was waiting patiently and I couldn't see any of the responses. These are amazing. All right, with that, we're going to go on to our next new feature. As Judy alluded to, you maps are a new feature. And let me start from the beginning of it. So you can see that Judy and I put our dream vacation spots. Judy has the Cayman Islands. Mine is a Grecian cruise. So what you need to do to use the maps, and remember too, for the maps, you don't need to, have the whole world as an option. You can focus in maybe on your state or, the United States as a whole, or if you're studying something in geography. But you just simply go ahead and click on the plus sign. And as you had seen, earlier, I just chose Santa Fe, New Mexico, and then we limited you to using AI image again, or doing an image search, or doing a web search. So once you've, found your place, listed your dream vacation spot, go ahead and choose a way to illustrate it, publish. And then we want to remind you, there's a couple of ways to do this, but you can always change the color of your pin, which will also change the color of the post. So for example, if you wanted, to have kids group in a certain way, you could say, all of the southwestern part of the United States will be in red, for example, and you can group them that way. But just as before, you're going to go ahead and hit publish, and I'm going to make sure that I refresh. And we've already had Sydney, Australia added, and Warsaw, Poland added. So you can see that this is a great way for kids to engage in places. And our prompt was my dream vacation spot. You can really choose any way to get them to engage with this map feature. All right. And as you continue to add those, we're going to go to yet one more feature. I've got a fellow person who's interested in going to Greece. It's definitely on my bucket list. All right. And Judy mentioned earlier that timelines are a little bit different now. Of course, you could set up that wall in sections, you could categorize according to rows, but this new kind of enhanced timeline feature allows you to create sections. Your prompt this time is to insert an image of one of the first picture books you remember reading and drag it to the appropriate decade on the timeline. You can do that if you start with the big plus sign. You can again upload an image of the book or do an image search of that book, or again, you can use the large plus sign, or you can simply go right to the decade in which you would have read that picture book. And another feature of the timelines is that you can look for the section by using the pull down menu. So you've got a couple of ways to have kids add to a timeline, but go ahead and add your picture book to the timeline in the decade that that book would have been read to you, or that you read it yourself. We figured there'd be a few young teachers in here that would post in the 2000s. Judy and I realized that by 2010, that would be impossible since you probably wouldn't be an educator yet at the age of 15. But you can see how this works. And you may have noticed that one of them came in, it was down a little further, it was the little red hen, but it came in as approve or reject. Occasionally, that's a Padlet like safeguard, and it typically isn't a problem at all, but it's often the way that it's been interpreted. Like sometimes we've had participants in a group post a video, and the video has a transcript with it, and it'll give us that approve or reject because there's a misinterpretation that there was something like a bad word or something in the video. Judy, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add about that reject approve kind of feature.
No, I think you've got it. And that can be adjusted in the settings.
But it might be something that you do want to keep with kids at times. So at least you know it's there. All right. So this kind of showed you and gave you an opportunity to interact with the AI image with our maps and our timelines. So you can kind of see how those work. And I love that we've got quite a few Dr. Seuss books, but we have some other beautiful books that have been read to us or we've read in these different decades of our lives. So I love seeing these. All right, I'm gonna pass it back to Judy. Let me get back to
Before you do that, we were going to just share too, like the different ways that you might move around those images. So you guys were adding them through the plus symbol and uh, clicked on the plus, but then Laura, did you want to show them how, because we put the sections in there, that they could also choose that in the plus sign in the post at the bottom right?
Yep. So you mean in the sections down here and then the pull down?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, just to refresh your memory, you can do it that way with the plus signs in between the sections, or you can do that let's see, you can do that with the large plus sign too. You're able to check, to select the section. So again, if it's something that you're having the kids use these sections for and they want a quick way to find the section that they want to post in, you can do it that way. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get back to this slide deck.
So one of the things that we mentioned earlier, we showed you how you can share the link and then you can remix it and make a copy for other people or set it so others can do that. But there's another newer feature where you can automate that task. And so the specific directions for that are linked on there. But basically, when you share, if you want others to make a copy, so for example, maybe this was something you were going to share with your students or other colleagues, and you shared the link, when they clicked on the link, it would automatically make a copy for you. So in the two links in the on the slide there, if you click on either one of those links, it will automatically make a copy of that Padlet into your own drive, which is a nice feature.
And the only thing I would add to that, Judy, is that just as she had said in the very beginning, if you have the free version, you only have 3 Padlets. So those of us who've played around with the free version do a lot of deleting and recreating and that kind of thing. So oftentimes it's beneficial to go ahead and pay for the yearly subscription, especially if you think you're going to use it a lot.
And just another reminder on how much you can customize your Padlet. So by default, all of your posts have a white background, but as Laura showed in the interactive mat, you can change the color of each post. And whether you choose the light setting or the dark setting, if you choose the light setting, when you change the color of each post, they'll look more pastel. If you choose the dark setting for your post, they'll look a little more, they'll be darker. And so other things that you can do is you can create custom fields. You can, as we said before, you can sort in different ways. You can make breakout links. And so links on how to do all of that is on that slide deck. But again, just inviting you to be playful with these and that they can be visually represented in a lot of different ways by simply customizing them. And there's another example there as well. And then lastly, we showed that there's the built-in camera. You can do, again, screencasts. You can do just video recordings. You can take photos. You can do audio. But again, just thinking, we invite you just to think creatively on how that might look. And for those of you that were very sad when Flipgrid went away, this might be an alternative for you that you can create your own Padlet grid, if you will, of videos. And so again, there's a couple of examples there, but the nice thing is that again, everything lives on your Padlet. You don't have to have your students going out to any other application. It's all App Smashing built in to Padlet itself. And again, with the click of a button, it's right there for you.
Judy, I know you're switching over to Padlet TA. Do you want me to go ahead and stop sharing so you can navigate through that?
Yes, that'd be great. All right. All right, so another newer product that Padlet has come out with is called Padlet TA. And so this is basically their version of a teacher assistant for you. And so it's a lot of AI generated materials and tools to help save you time. And so we don't have a lot of time right now to share all of these with you. So again, we're going to give you a very condensed version of it, but it is constantly evolving and changing. And so check back frequently. It is free for now. And so I know that they are saying free. I don't know when and that will change, but at some point it will go from being having like a freemium and a premium, but right now it's free. Some of them, as you can see here, are sort of in beta version, but one of the things that I use the most, you'll notice that throughout the Padlet that Laura and I have shared a lot of shortened links, and we've gotten those from Padlet TA. And so the nice thing is, let me just grab a link here real quick. Usually once it's in your clipboard and let me go back to home. As soon as I click on short link, whatever's in my clipboard automatically populates in there, and then I can customize it. And since Padlet TA is newer, I have not yet had a case where the name that I'm naming has already been taken, except for the example one right there. I'll just put a 2 there. But regardless of what you choose, from their dashboard, you're going to notice that the look and feel is going to be very similar. So it's got the kind of like the canvas board in the middle, and then to the right is sort of your go button. And so it will generate it. It's almost instantaneous. And then you can copy the link and paste that on a slide deck in a presentation in the Zoom like we have been doing. Or you can just copy the QR code. You can download the QR code. So I would say that just for this alone, this has been a wonderful use of Padlet TA. And so you've got a lot of different options here. And so you can do things like generate lesson plans and worksheets and coloring sheets. These here that say beta, these are newer. And so they're working on those. Down at the bottom, you see you can generate a quiz, reading passage, rubric, presentations. And to save time, we've generated some of these already for you on the back end, just because some of them do take a minute or so to generate, and knowing that we were not going to be having a lot of extra time. And so another nice one is this name picker. So we've populated it with some names already. Down here at the bottom, if you're gonna, it's like, spin the wheel. Do you want each name to only be chosen once? So if Laura's name comes up, do you want her to kind of be taken off the grid? Or do you want to allow her to stay on the grid so it's random all the time? I'll leave it at pick each name only once. I'll say generate, and then you can see the names on the left, and then on the right is my grid. I'll say pick a name. It goes through, it says Zach. And then notice on the left that Zach gets crossed off. So as I continue to go through here, it's a process of elimination. So that's just a nice quick way to have some randomization in picking names. Another thing that you can do is if you clicked on the tracing sheet, so I just randomly chose the tracing sheets for practicing letters of the alphabet. It did take a moment to generate, but this is what it came up with. And then up here in the upper right-hand corner, I've got the option to either print it or export it. If you're going to export it to a PDF file, you do need to be logged into your Padlet account. If you're not logged into your Padlet account, you'll get an error message. So from a troubleshooting standpoint, if the exporting is not working, look to see if you're logged into your Padlet account. And then once you do that, then it generates a PDF that you can save and use in whatever ways that you would like to for your classroom. One of the newer features is this reading passage. So we all know the importance of having our kids reading different levels of text across different content areas. And so this one here was generated for a 5th grade class. It was an example of a star reading passage about the American Revolution. Added some additional information, like keep it at approximately 700 words and with 5 standardized test questions. I could have also down here at the bottom uploaded some files and given it more context and more information to pull together into this generated reading passage. And so over here on the left, you can see that it generated some text, it generated an image. If I keep going down here towards the bottom, it generated those questions for me. So this can be a really nice feature if you want to give your kids some practice. And again, in the upper hand corner, I could copy the text, paste that into a Google Doc or a website or whatever it is, and however you're sharing information with students. And again, I've got a variety of ways that I can export it. But again, be sure that you are logged into your Padlet account for these to work. And then another example of a reading passage is just a 2nd grade reading passage. And again, similar, but you can see less text, more age appropriate for a 2nd grader. Matching game was one of them. And so this one was the states of matter. And I'm just going to be random here right now for the sake of time, but you can drag and drop. I can check my answers. And it gives the affirming wah, 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 and that I did not do so well. So the nice thing is I can retry again. I can start from scratch. I can regenerate it. I can also export it into a printable, draw the line and match. And then the last one is a coloring sheet. So if you want to make some type of content related coloring sheet, you can do that as well. And again, hopefully you're starting to see the pattern for the layout, which is one of the things I love about Padlet today is that it not only generates really helpful things to help save you time, but it's got such a clean interface that it makes it very user friendly for you. And I think with that, Laura, we're going to switch it back to you.
Yes, and I wanted to show you, I know sometimes for me it's just like how do you get to, Judy showed you, sorry, I think there's a Judy showed you the gallery of all of the, Padlets that she's made, but when you're just simply, making a Padlet, so you see this little plus sign that, allows you to make, you've got the choice between making a blank board, and we know from looking at the many different options like walls and maps and timelines, there's a lot you can do with the blank board. There's a lot you can, embed. But the other feature we wanted to show you before we leave today is the sandbox feature. So I know Judy mentioned missing Flipgrid. If you've been missing Jamboard, Padlet now has a feature, Sandbox, that is very similar. And I want to show you, Judy's going to put the link to the this particular Sandbox in for you. But if you were just on a blank, blank slide, you can always start from a template. And the templates are, there's just a lot available to you, things like charts and graphs, ways that you can create slides, and you can always use the slide feature to advance. You've got activities for kids, analyses, reflection activities. So you've got a lot that you can do by just using one of these templates. But you can also simply use it kind of like we did often, especially during the pandemic with Jamboard. And I just wanted to show you before you start to add to this particular slide that you can freeze the question because I've created this, particular sandbox. I've frozen it. So that means that the kids can't move the question all around while they start to answer it. If that's a way that you want to use it. And as Judy's showed you before, and so have I, we, can limit. We didn't put all 13 possibilities for responses. We just gave you drawing, text, sticky notes, and shapes. So if you click on the sticky note, for example, and I want to do a pink one, I will be able to, click on that. Let's see. Oh, goodness. I'm losing some of my tools here. Oh, yeah, sorry. You just have to get onto the blank frame, and then you'll notice if you click in the middle, that'll give you a cursor so that you can type. So we'll kind of close out with this question. I didn't think we could get to all of the questions on the frames in our sandbox, but you have access to everything that we've showed you today in the original Padlet that Judy shared with you and used for some of the resources and demos. But just which features or examples were exciting to you today, and if you've got room to add it, why in these last 5 minutes together. And we're going to make sure that, again, we'll put the link to that original Padlet back into the chat, because that has all of the resources that we've shared with you today, including our slide deck.
And Laura, if you refresh the screen again, I think you'll see.
And you know how it goes with new features. It takes some practice, right? Even in preparing to talk to you, Judy and I were uncovering things that even we didn't know about different aspects of some of these new features. But I will say that Padlet has a robust library of webinars and other web pages that can guide you through the use of any of their tools. And we even had some added to some of the other frames. So this is great. Yeah, the students, and I think too, um, the fact that you have control over what types of responses you want the kids to add, keeps the focus of the activity on what you've intended it to be. All right, well, we are down to our last 2 minutes. Judy, did I miss anything?
No, not at all. And I was just going to comment. I see a lot of people are liking the newer features. For those people who have been using Padlet for a long time, you may have noticed it felt like for a few years, Padlet was kind of like sitting off to the side, but they have really made a comeback. And check back frequently because they really are, they just keep refining it and making it better and are listening to the feedback from their users. So it is a really nice tool to use. And then like Laura mentioned, so we're putting the link to the original Padlet that we shared with you. And if you look at the so everything on the very far left column are all of the interactive things that we did with you. Everything in the middle are examples of some other ways that you might engage with Padlet. And then on the far right are some additional resources for you. So like Laura mentioned, well, there's their slide decks at the top there, but then the YouTube video or their YouTube site, their new features, their webinars. Even if you can't attend their webinars live, they post all of them there as well. And then at the very, very bottom, there's one that says stay up to date with their new features. So that's kind of like their page Padlet change log. So if you're really, really wanting to stay on top of Padlet and what they're going to be soon releasing, you can check that out there as well. And I would say that, Lauren, I just want to thank you guys for joining us. As Laura said, this was our kickoff to the summer blitz. It is a Friday, a beautiful Friday. So double bonus points for all of you for joining us. We hope that it was well worth your time and that everybody has taken away at least one new thing that you didn't have an hour ago. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, and have a great weekend.